Okay, so just continuing from the end of the last video, I'd finished this spot level at the end of the last video, and then just put in a few other spot levels using exactly the same technique, just to save a little bit of time on the video and of course the size of the video file. Okay, now I want to point out a few things. At this part of the side, you'll notice that there is another spot level here and another spot level here, in which it's not actually in the surface or the middle of the mesh. Okay, when you put in a spot level on an edge like this one will be, then you'll notice that it's a little bit different. Okay, so if I double click here, nothing happens. Okay, but when I double click here, it will come up with that little window that says fit to user ridges. It's here what you have to do when you click on an edge, or sorry, when a spot level is on an edge and you're trying to click on the edge of the mesh, you'll need to click once, and then this pet palette comes up, and you'll need to make sure that it is this icon of the pet palette that is active. Okay, this is the insert new node pet palette icon. Okay, so this is insert new node, and what needs to happen then is your second click can now happen and the node is placed. Okay, once you've done the first one along that edge and the pet palette has been activated with the first icon of that pet palette, then when you do the second node along that same edge, if you then double click, it will already remember that the second click is to insert a new node. Okay, so remember, for the first time that you do a insert new node along an edge, you must activate the pet palette icon that is the first icon along that first row of the pet palette. Okay, so there's no dot here, but there is a node here. So I'm going to go click, click. Okay, and then I'm going to go along here and then go click, click. Okay, notice how on these ones there's not a fit to user ridges window that pops up. Okay, I'm not sure if you would have noticed that, but that's perfectly fine, because what we're going to do is we're going to after we put in all these black dots or these nodes, I'll show you how to apply the Z values to the nodes that are in the surface of the mesh and also at the edge to achieve the outcome that we want. Okay, so let's just see what other nodes are needed to be put in. So this one needs to be put in. Okay, this one needs to be put in. Right. This one needs to be put in. Alright, and this one needs to be put in. Okay, now there's already a node here, so that's fine. Okay, so what we're going to do now is for every node or every black dot that has a spot level for it, as indicated by the mesh, as indicated by the survey, we're going to define the level by clicking. So let's do the middle ones first. Let's do the ones in the surface of the mesh. What you need to do is click here. So this, click, and then this pet palette comes up, and you need to move your cursor over here and choose the elevate mesh point. Now it's going to come up as elevate mesh point, and it's going to ask you, well, what is the mesh point to elevate? Okay, so we're going to write this or type this in as 100, 130 with reference to the mesh to project 0. Generally get in a good habit of referencing to project 0, which in this case is the same as the mesh 0 and the same as AHD. Now we don't click apply to all. because it's just in this one instance that we want the mesh to have a height of 100,130, and then we press OK. Okay. Whenever I apply the ridge height for the first node on my mesh, I always pop into the 3D mode to have a look at what's happened. Okay. Now, if you notice that, well, there's now this big mountain, and at this point up here, that is the height of 100,130 millimeters. Okay, and the rest of this is the ground line is 1,000 millimeters above zero. Okay, because if you recall, we made the mesh a 1,000 millimeter thickness. So all down here is 1,000, and just this point up here is 100,130. Okay.